Hello, my name is Carlee Roeber, and for my presentation, I reviewed Chapter 4, Coaching for Character. I want to do a quick overview of what the chapter was about. The chapter talks about character and sportsmanship. What are they? Character is about who we are and what we stand for. Sportsmanship is good character when participating in sports and is about respect for opponents, officials, teammates, coaches, and of course, especially for the game itself. There are 3 steps to teaching character and sportsmanship. The first step is to identify the principles of character, and then teach the principles of character. And the third step is to provide opportunities to practice moral behavior. Bullying and hazing. What is the definition of bullying? Bullying is an act of aggression by someone or a group with the intent of harming a person either physically or psychologically. What is the definition of hazing? Hazing is an action or situation created by a group to intentionally produce mental or physical discomfort, embarrassment, harassment, or ridicule among those wishing to join the group. What is the differences between these two? Bullying excludes the victim from a group, whereas hazing is a ritual imposed on a person who wants to join a group. Bullies often act alone or in small groups, while hazing commonly involves an entire group or team. My research question is, how can coaches identify the signs of hazing? I believe this is an important question to answer because the chapter goes into what hazing is and how coaches can prevent it, but fails to tell us how we can identify signs of hazing. I have linked a video about hazing from the school University of Wisconsin, River Falls that goes over the definition of hazing and includes a few examples of incidents that occurred. Please watch the video as I will discuss a couple of these examples in the next slide. The first example I'm going over is the hazing incident done by the men's and women's rugby teams at the University of Wisconsin, River Falls. The rugby teams were using club funds to buy alcohol and serve minors on the team. The alcohol was used for hazing as well. As a result, the rugby teams were suspended for several years. The men's team received a 4-year suspension, while the women's team received a 3-year suspension. The suspension for the men's team was longer because they refused to cooperate with the investigation. The officials involved in this investigation felt that the teams needed a new start to get rid of the culture of alcohol abuse and hazing. The second example of hazing that stood out was at Central Michigan University Alpha Chi Rho fraternity. A student in the fraternity passed out, and his fraternity brothers smeared peanut butter on his face even though they knew he was allergic to peanuts. After another hazing incident by the same fraternity in 2011, the fraternity was removed from campus and is no longer a sanctioned organization at CMU. The fraternity tried to appeal for reinstatement last fall, but were denied by CMU's Interfraternity Council as well as the university based on their reputation of hazing. Now that we have covered some examples of hazing incidents, let's talk about how coaches can identify hazing. The signs of hazing will vary from person to person. Here are the common ones that we will discuss in my presentation. Athletes will leave or quit their team, sudden changes in behavior, physical changes, caught doing embarrassing acts or wearing humiliating attire, providing services for the rest of the team at their expense. When someone quits a team due to hazing, they often want to leave the team with no real explanation or without warning. This is usually done at the beginning of the season, but if the hazing is consistent, they could leave during the season as well. Or it can even be unexplained disappearances during the night. This can come into effect, especially if you are at a camp for a sport and notice that an athlete is disappearing in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. When an athlete is the victim of a hazing incident, they can experience a sudden change in their behavior. Rather than being their normal self, the athlete may start to show signs of anger, confusion, helplessness, anxiety, or even depression. An athlete may start to show signs to their physical appearance. These changes include bruising, scars, or a shaved head. An example of this occurred at Kent State in the 1980s. The men's hockey team was shaving the heads of freshmen and forcing them to drink heavily. After discovering this incident when a player was sent to a hospital for alcohol poisoning, the president of the university suspended the team for 1 season. Other physical appearances that show signs of hazing are hangovers, exhaustion, or sleep deprivation. Athletes may have to wear embarrassing attire or do humiliating acts. For example, some MLB teams used to force their rookies to dress like women for a late season road trip. That tradition was banned in 2017. As you can see in these pictures, the men were forced to wear Hooter outfits in the bottom left corner, and in the top right photo, men were dressed in certain female characters and wore women's dresses. Athletes may be forced to provide services to other members of the team. These services include, but are not limited to, carrying books, cooking, and cleaning. Their services may even be sports-related by making new athletes to the team carry and clean equipment. Now that we know the signs for hazing, why is recognizing them important for coaches? Unfortunately, hazing is something that goes on in sports still, especially at the high school, collegiate, and professional level of sports. Coaches need to know these signs of hazing in order to prevent it from happening on their future teams, and so they can take immediate action if they see signs of hazing on their teams. There are ways coaches can prevent hazing on their teams. Install a zero-tolerance policy for hazing in your athlete code of conduct. Schools typically have an athlete code of conduct. Coach and athletic directors should include this in theirs and make all athletes sign the code of conduct before the start of the season. Have a pre-season meeting dedicated to hazing and the consequences. By having a pre-season meeting, coaches can go over the policy and explain what hazing is, why it is not allowed, and what the consequences will be if they are caught hazing. Introduce alternative team bonding activities. Rather than letting the team come up with ways to build team bonding, which might lead to hazing, develop and plan team bonding activities that will be positive experiences for all athletes. Examples of these are team dinners, participation in the common activities such as community service, and team trips like a pre-season camp. Never ignore signs of hazing. If you see the signs mentioned in this presentation, then take immediate action that is consistent with your policy. If your team does not have a policy, then report the signs to your immediate supervisor and discuss how the incident should be handled. Here's an overview of the presentation. The signs of hazing are athletes quitting a team, sudden change of behavior, physical changes in appearance, athlete wearing embarrassing attire or performing humiliating acts, and providing services for the rest of the team at their expense. Coaches need to be able to recognize the signs of hazing, especially if the coach is new to the team and players. The ways a coach can prevent hazing is by having a zero-tolerance policy in the team's code of conduct and expressing this policy in a pre-season meeting with the team. I have 2 questions regarding hazing for the class. With what age group is hazing most prevalent in sports? What are alternative ways to welcome new members to a team instead of hazing? Thank you.